Welcome in, everybody. Monster Tuesday upon us. A Monster Tuesday. The biggest news we've had around here in a long time. And we don't often cover like YouTube drama type news, but monster news regarding Karl Jobst, the Billy Mitchell trial. It's going to be big. There's a lot to cover. There's a lot to talk about. There's also a Sega showcase auction on Thursday. Of course, I have to tell you guys that. Sponsored by Heritage Auctions tonight, which feels, I don't know, almost feels like a full circle moment here, hey? That we're now sponsored by Heritage Auctions, sitting here with an auction, talking about Karl Jobst being sued for defamation. What does the world come to? What does the world come to, hey? Like I said, it almost feels like a full circle moment from the very first time that we,
fair warning.
I guess that Karl entered this sphere about graded sealed video games. Nonetheless, welcome in, everybody. We'll get into it in just a second. Retro Game Rescue, Game Gallery, Simoon, Odin, Superjunk, Rob, McMullen, Jeff, Mac, Carts and Cardboard, Ren, Axe, Machina, Andrew Haynes, T. Martini Games. Welcome in, you guys. Brandon Ackley. Welcome. Trevor. Mike, you don't know Phoenix Wright music? You don't know Phoenix Wright music? Come on, Mike. That's a classic track right there. That's some classic Phoenix Wright. I think it's called Thinking. Yeah, you gotta play the Phoenix Wright games if you never had. Or watch a playthrough, something. Phoenix Wright is classic, man. Very fitting, given that we're going to be talking about court proceedings in tonight's live stream.
$190.
Whew! But yes, on Thursday, Sega Showcase Auction. I do have to tell you guys that right first here. It comes up the exact same time as always, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central Time. This Thursday, Showcase Sega Auction. The best and the brightest of Sega coming out to play. Super Hang-On 9.8A Plus is sitting at $700. The Sports Dreamcast Factory Sealed Console VGA85 sitting at about $800 there. Alex Kidd in Shinobi World. And the mail order exclusive Power Strike currently sits as the highest item in the auction at about $1,500 right now. So that's coming up this Thursday. Ages of Sega Showcase Auction, also brought to you by Heritage. So hopefully you guys can make it out for the auction there. And we do start off with a bunch of Atari stuff today. Basketball going for $109. Breakout going for $84. G.I. Joe Cobra Strike still does have some value there. 9.6 A++ with $350. Harbor Escape, published by Panda Games here. This is an 8.5 CIB. Everything published by Panda is pretty rare. So, yeah, and tomorrow we also have Nintendo Direct. We also learn our first info about Nintendo Direct tomorrow. So, man, what a week. What a big week here. But let's get right into it then. So, if you did not, or if you did see the news, right, you probably saw Billy Mitchell won the lawsuit against Karl Jobst. King of Kong reigns supreme over YouTube Night. There's a lot of headlines here that are not friendly against Karl, which is interesting to see because generally speaking, Karl has the internet on his side. But a lot of the publications, don't paint Karl in a good light, which we'll go into more here in just a second. But you're probably thinking to yourself, if you followed anything to do with the Billy Mitchell cheating lawsuit, the Karl Jobst getting sued type stuff, $65. There was no way that Billy Mitchell was going to win a trial based on if Billy Mitchell cheated, right? Billy Mitchell cheated in video games. That is pretty concrete at this point. If that was going to trial, it was a slam dunk win for Karl. So, myself included here, a lot of people are now shocked to see that Karl did not win the trial. And the biggest thing as to why Karl didn't win the trial is because the trial itself was not about whether or not Billy Mitchell cheated. Which again, that comes as a big surprise to a lot of people. The trial and why Karl eventually or ultimately lost the trial was that it was a defamation suit based on Karl saying that Billy Mitchell basically bullied another YouTuber into killing himself, based on Karl basically lied about what happened, right?
$110.
Karl lied about why Karl lied that Billy Mitchell sued somebody and that person had to pay a ton of money to Billy, which then caused that person to kill themselves. That is why Karl lost this trial. The trial was about whether or not Billy Mitchell bullied someone into killing themselves. which the judge found, no, he did not. It was a baseless claim that Karl made in one of his videos based off a Reddit comment.
Fair warning.
So as we stand now, I want to go into some of the things here. I have a couple of Reddit. I have some Reddit things myself, which go into more detail because it's easier for me to read stuff here. So, on May 26, 2021, Mr. Jobst published a YouTube video entitled "The Biggest Con Men in Video Game History Strikes Again." In some detail, he accused Mr. Mitchell, Billy, of cheating and pursuing unmerited litigation against people who have accused him. He also said the following. Billy also sued YouTuber Apollo Legend for $1 million. I haven't spoken about this publicly, but this lawsuit ultimately ended with Apollo giving in and settling with Billy. He was forced to remove all of his videos about Billy cheating and paid him a large sum of money. That left him deeply in debt and required him to find extra work. But with his own ongoing health issues, this was all too much of a burden, and he ultimately took his own life. Not that Billy Mitchell would ever care, though. In fact, when Billy Mitchell thought that Apollo died, he was expressed at joy. The lawsuit against Apollo was just as frivolous as the rest, but again, he was extremely ill and couldn't handle the ongoing stress. Right? So that is what was put forth by Karl in the original video. So in the proceeding, Billy sues Karl for defamation arising from the publication of the video. Billy alleges arise from the publications, there were damages, all that stuff. Suffices to say that Billy does not complain that Mr. Jobst called him a cheat. Rather, he alleges to the effect that the reasonable person watching that video would understand the offering words as meaning that Billy was a major contributing factor to Apollo Legend deciding to commit suicide, and in essence, hounded Apollo Legend to death. Mr. Jobst denies that, of course, that alleged by Billy from the video. He also alleges that Billy had settled a bad Karl also says that Billy already had a bad reputation. That was not damaged further by the allegation that he caused this person to commit suicide. He relies on the alternative to his denial that the imputations alleged by Mr. Mitchell on the defense of the contextual truth, that the video contained the video had a bunch of other imputations that were substantially true. And therefore, because Billy did cheat, Karl said he cheated, that's true, that his reputation was not further harmed by saying that he also did this suicide thing. Which is kind of crazy.
Next lot. $30.
Kind of crazy on that. Moral of the story, avoid Game Genie if you don't want to get sued. Billy exploited a flub Karl made and won. That's like, to be very basic, quick, and easy about it. Yeah, Karl fucked up on this one. And one of the big things right here is that, so Karl said that he had to pay money and all this stuff. Later in the trial, it was discovered that Apollo Legend, the person who ultimately committed suicide, never paid money to Billy Mitchell. There was no sum of money paid. $75. Right? So that never happened in any way whatsoever. And Karl presented that based on a Reddit post. There was a thing where they settled, so it had to be, if Apollo Legend had posted more videos about Billy Mitchell, he would have been hit with $25 to $1,000 fines. So there was no actual sum of money paid to Billy Mitchell through that. Yeah, through that. Let me just get caught up on you guys here.
Fair warning.
Yeah, they sued in Australia. It took place the trial took place in Australian court. Yeah, Billy flew in for the trial down in Australia, so that is where everything took place there. Now, the big thing, right, is let me just scroll down here. There's another excerpt I want to read here. So, the issue with the court was 15 minutes from your home, you should have went. The thing with this Reddit post, right, and basically unfounded, is that there was no, like Karl's legal team didn't even try to, or maybe they did, but as it seems, they didn't even fight against this allegation that he wrongly blamed Billy for doing this suicide thing, right? It says here that Mr. Jobst did not plead any facts or explanation for his denial of Billy's allegation that he had not made any proper pre-inquiry to the true position. He did give some evidence, however, as to the source of his assertion that Apollo Legend had been obliged to pay a large sum of money to Billy, namely a comment on Reddit to the effect that Billy had made Apollo Legend pay him $50,000. So again, right, what they put forth was, oh, there was a Reddit comment. And then the judge goes on here, even if I were to have regard to this evidence to accept that such a message was the source of belief that Apollo Legend had been obliged to pay Billy a large sum of money, it would not assist Karl's defense. One person's comment or message without any proof of the assertion would not be reasonable or sufficient basis for the assertion in the video. Karl Jobst made no inquiry of Mr. Mitchell or anyone associated with him or with Apollo Legend before first publishing the offending video. He had no reasonable basis for the assertions he made in the offending words. He was indeed recklessly indifferent to whether or not those assertions were true. Which is big, right? That is the words of the judge in the summary delivery. And it's interesting when you read through this, as you go through it more. Like I said, a lot of the publications coming out aren't in favor of Karl. And Karl didn't do himself any favors at all. Like, I think the biggest issue, like obviously we all know that Karl posted, 20 videos about Billy Mitchell, right? It just became a thing. I'm not saying Billy Mitchell's a good guy now because Karl lost the lawsuit. Both things can be true, right? Billy can still be an asshole. Karl can lose a lawsuit. Both of these things can be true. But I think we can all agree that the whole Billy Mitchell's bad guy cheating thing, it's overdone. It's played out, right? It's not interesting. It's done. We get it. Which is why even in the summary there, it had nothing to do with cheating, right? The judge didn't care if Billy Mitchell cheated or not, and I think it was actually decided upon within it that part of Karl's defense, or one of Karl's biggest defenses, right, to the whole thing was Billy Mitchell's already a cheat, therefore he has no reputation to damage, right? Since he already cheated and he's found out to be a cheater, even if what I said isn't exactly true, the suicide thing, it does not matter. It does not incur damages to Billy Mitchell, which, in a maybe shocking turn of event, Billy, throughout the court proceedings, was able to provide evidence, direct evidence, that the Apollo Legend stuff about the suicide directly led him to having canceled appearances. There are multiple emails that Billy Mitchell presented to the court that were like, hey, sorry, Billy, due to all this Apollo Legend stuff, we no longer want to have you here. Sorry, we actually want to cancel our obligation to have you perform the Billy Band, having you come speak at this show, right? Billy was able to prove actual damages related to the exact words Karl put forth about the Apollo Legend suicide, which is, that is fucking insane. Looking at it from an outsider view now, right? Like, I've dug way too deep into all of this. But looking at it from an outsider view, yeah, see, that's the issue, Hiko, right? I totally agree Billy's rep was already beyond damage before Karl said that. So it's true, the Apollo Legend statement did nothing to Billy. See, that is what I think Karl was basing a lot of his stuff on and why he maybe felt so bold about going forward for this. But Billy was able to produce actual, tangible evidence of damages directly related to the Apollo Legend suicide. Right? Actual emails citing it, and that we are no longer going to have you here directly because of this. Which is insane. Right? That's very, very, very bad. Like, once that exists, you can't say, oh, his reputation was already shitty. Like, okay, his reputation was shitty, but he was still getting appearances. He was still going to things, whether you like him or not, right? The internet echo chamber can all agree Billy Mitchell, bad dude. Boo, Billy, boo. But once you go out into the real world, or once you get off of the internet echo chamber, he is a real person with fans. People enjoy him. He has, you know what I mean?
Fair warning.
Oh, this Billy nonsense is big, Chris. Big Billy nonsense to start things off here. We're almost done. We're almost done with it. Yeah, it is headline news. It is headline news. Even if Karl gets extreme luck and somehow his finding is overturned, he's fucked himself in the court of public opinion. As far as I've seen about that, Hamster, the odds of an appeal or an overturn are extremely low.
$180.
There's no way they can actually quantify damage done to Billy through that Apollo statement. Well, like I said, he produced tangible evidence.
$100.
Right? Like, he produced tangible examples of him being canceled based on the Apollo statement. I don't know what else you could possibly quantify. They have numbers that was agreed upon, and then it was canceled based on the Apollo thing. I think that's clear cut. Clear cut. I agree. If you couldn't substantiate it, right, you'd have a bigger or a better case, but when it's clear cut, like, hey, sorry, Billy, we don't want you anymore because of all this Apollo Legends stuff, what are you supposed to say at that point?
$600.
Haircuts fire, I appreciate you, dude. NES block did begin though. I'll talk a bit more about the Billy thing in a second here. I know you guys are on your edge of your seats here for the Billy talk. Adventures of Dino Riki, 9.48 plus for $212. A Krista's Ring, 7.08 plus for $325. Barker Bill's Trick Shot, 9.68 plus $225. Dr. Chaos went for $287.50. Kind of uncommon. I don't think Dr. Chaos comes up all that much, but I also don't think people really care about it that much. Hence the $200 and some price tag. None of the Atari stuff really did much. I mean, Tax Scan got up to $162. The Panda game there, where was it? The CIB Panda title got to $139. Not bad, not bad. Heavy Barrel, 9.88 plus, being the first game of the auction year to kind of shoot. Highest graded copy they've ever sold of Heavy Barrel out of 8. Data East game. I don't know if it's a cult classic. I don't know much about Heavy Barrel. But $1,500 for the 9.88 plus is very real. That is a very real amount of money being paid for Heavy Barrel there. $1,500. $1,500 for Heavy Barrel. That feels very real. Great arcade game, Heavy Barrel. Yeah, anytime I see that Data East on a game published, it's like, this probably has fans from before the NES publish, right? This is probably a game with fans far before it. Yeah, top arcade hit. Like, I assume Heavy Barrel does have quite the following. Knight Rider, 9.68 plus. Beautiful copy of Knight Rider here as well, pushing. Only one copy graded higher. Yeah, pushing up to 550 here. Do I know if Karl Jobst can pay it or he's going to do bankruptcy? No clue. One of the quotes from the lawsuit thing is, Karl Jobst was asked, how is he going to pay the lawsuit? And Karl responded, with money. So, as of now, that's all we have to go right there. Is the NWC gold cart posted on eBay for $2.5 million legit? I believe so, if you're talking about the... yes, I do believe so.
Fair warning.
I do believe so, if it's the one that I'm thinking of as well.
Next lot.
Okay, so Hamster, right? You're talking about crowdfunding the legal fees, right? Misled people about the nature of the lawsuit, and that's what people are really mad about with Karl right now. People are mad because if you were following any of the news, you thought that the trial was going to be Billy Mitchell is a cheater, which, yes, slam dunk case, right? We get it.
Fair warning.
Karl needs to pay about $300,000? No, $384,000 in damages, I think, plus interest was the total. About $380, $390.
Fair warning.
I think it's Australian dollars.
$90.
$380, $390 Australian US dollars. Plus, it's very likely he's going to have to pay Billy's court fees plus his own court fees. So I wouldn't be surprised if the number is getting close to $1 million. At least $1 million Aussie. Wouldn't be surprised at all. Karl's lawyers did him no favor by either not advising him properly or just being completely ignorant. Good lawyers know what they need to win a case. Okay, this is what seems crazy to me, Milk, right? Is from the outset here, or from the outside, it seems really dumb that Karl went forward with this trial. It seems very cut and dry. You made a statement that was not true that led Billy Mitchell to have damages, right? Like he talked about this Apollo Legend suicide thing. Also with this, right?
$60.
Apollo Legend, when he made a video, or he had a final note, a final video or something, where he named people that were contributing to his decision to take his own life. Billy Mitchell was not named in that, right? So again, it's like, even if Karl thinks that, even if Karl thinks he could be responsible for it, right? Because sure, I'm sure added stress of a lawsuit doesn't help, but fuck it. It's sometimes you just don't need to sensationalize or dramatize or putting forth additional opinion or allegation or implied truth, or you know what I mean?
$280.
Hopefully Heritage and Wada doesn't sue him next for his videos. Yeah, well, it's interesting if there will be, maybe Gerard will go after him. Maybe Gerard is going to sue him for frickin' stuff. Like, I don't know where it starts and ends now, but I think the door has been opened that potentially there are cases. The final words of a severely depressed and intimidated person can't really be relied on. Sure, but if you're not named in it and other people are, and you're saying, oh no, it was his fault, and the actual person who did it doesn't name that person, it's a pretty big stress to be like, oh no, it was that person. Oh no, it was actually that person. Like, the person who killed themselves is wrong. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean?
Next lot. $40.
Did I hear the judge acknowledging Billy as a cheater? Yes. Absolutely.
Fair warning.
Absolutely. Shadowgate 9.2 A plus for $237.50. 720 was also a 9.8 A plus there for $450. Roller Games 9.6 A plus for $425. Then the Knight Rider, the 9.6 A plus, fought its way up to $600. Super Mario Bros. 8.0 A, factory sealed copy, pushing up to 1,000. Look before you leap by making 20 videos worth of clickbait. Okay, so right, Chris, right? The thing with this is Karl did himself zero favors through the course of this trial, right? And it's very evident by the way the judge explains things here in his summary. Judge Barlow found Mr. Jobst had taken part in a vindictive crusade against Billy with reckless disregard for the truth. Clearly, he wanted to be the knight who slayed the Mitchell dragon. His lance was not as strong as it thought to be, which is crazy, right? Like, we're getting frickin' alliterations. We're getting metaphors for the Karl takedown here by the judge, which maybe I just don't read enough legal proceedings, but it seems crazy to put forth that kind of metaphor. Mr. Jobst sees himself as a crusader against Billy, one of the last people sued by Billy and the one who has not backed down, he said. The judge referred to an interview in which Karl said, Billy Mitchell needs to be destroyed in court. I am the last chance for the public to punish Billy. Karl did himself zero favors, right? And if you read more of the summary judgment, if you listen to the actual delivery that was put forth, it is very clear that Karl's behavior during the trial, the videos that he made, a lot of this stuff, like, Karl did himself no favors. Making continual videos about the trial, talking about the trial on interview to someone else, like, I don't know, again, I don't know why Karl was so brave, bold, brazen, because if it was truly about this suicide thing, it just kind of doesn't make sense to go forward with it, which I will say, Karl's going to put out a video, obviously, right? Yeah, it seems like his ego killed him, right? It seems like the ego got the better of Karl. But again, right, if you're going forth on this defamation about the suicide comments, it seems crazy to even let that go to trial, right? That seems like a pretty cut and dry thing. Like, you fucked up, Karl. You didn't take it back. You you fucked up, right? Why do we need to go to trial here to prove you fucked up? It's pretty objective that you fucked up here. Which makes me think, because Karl does mention multiple lawsuits, it makes me think that there was both the cheating thing and this suicide thing that both went on. And as the court or the trial proceeded, the cheating thing was found that it was not going to have merit, right? If the cheating thing went to trial, it was not going to hold, so that one was dismissed, thrown out, or whatever, and it went forth on the suicide defamation. That's my best guess. Yeah, there were 3 and the Apollo thing survived. That's my best guess. So everyone who felt misled or like Karl lied and stuff, it probably was true at one point that the whole trial, the whole case, the whole suing was also about the Billy Mitchell being a cheater. And then when it was decided that Billy Mitchell being a cheater will not actually be defamation, it then went forward with the suicide thing, which was pretty set. You know what I mean? At which point, I don't know why there wasn't a settlement or anything like that. Again, it's legal proceedings. I don't know, intimate details about all that.
$200. $220. $240.
He had a million chances to withdraw the statements, yes. And see, okay, so he issued a retraction, right? But that's also a big point of this. And again, I think the judge simply didn't like Karl's way of conducting himself or answering things, or you know what I mean? But he did have a retraction of the statements, or an edited version of them, and he took down his video for a few days, but then he put it back up even after learning the things once he knew he was going to be sued anyway. And his retraction of the statement, or his apology for being wrong, he put in an unrelated video that was 30 minutes long about Dark Souls. Billy Mitchell was not in the description, not in the title, not in the thumbnail. And after you watch 28 minutes about Dark Souls, you get 2 minutes about Billy at the very end of the video. So, technically, yes, there was a retraction, there was an apology. But in the in the actual eyes of any reasonable person, it was hidden, it was not earnest, it was not, you know what I mean? When putting forth journalistic assertions and allegations, if you are incorrect about something, you also hold that same onus to allow everyone to, you have an onus to let people know that when you're wrong, right? You have to get your wrong information. Hey, sorry, I fucked this up. You have to show that to as many people as possible.
Next lot. $75. $140.
Entering into Super Nintendo here. Man, there's the conversation's big. It's big news. If you came for the auction this week, we're getting a lot of Karl Jobst Billy news. It's interesting as fuck. I genuinely, I enjoy reading this type of thing because it's you get to hear the internet echo chamber. You get to hear Karl's side of everything, right? Oh, Billy's bad. Billy's insane, unhinged. This is bullshit. It's never going to work. And then you read the actual judge's summary, or you listen to the actual court summary, and it's okay, there's, there's a lot more merit to all of this than Karl presented in his viewpoint, which makes sense, right? You're going to hear he said, she said type shit.
$140.
You didn't get the feeling about it being about suicide. You remember it being mentioned, but you paid less and less attention after the 5th video about it. Of course, a lot of people did. And Karl emphasized everything about Billy Mitchell cheating, right? If you follow any of the Billy Mitchell videos, if you watch any of the content on Karl's channel about the Billy Mitchell stuff, all of it emphasizes his cheating. It emphasizes the Twin Galaxies stuff. It emphasizes the red handle on the Donkey Kong. You know what I mean? Everything is emphasized around the cheating. I think there's one video, or at least there was one video I was able to find in my, limited looking here that was linked, that, fuck, I wish I just have it linked, I guess, but it's Billy Mitchell goes on unhinged rant, is how the video title there is, and in that video, Billy, there's a minute section where he talks about the suicide defamation, to which Karl says, is bullshit, not gonna work, not, you know what I mean? So I think for a lot of people watching, you didn't even realize, I didn't realize, what a big thing it was at the time and for the case itself. Because it was dismissed as being an unhinged rant. And now those are Karl's actual words in the title of the video, right?
Fair warning.
Unhinged rant. So myself, viewers, you watch that and you're like, oh, there must be no merit to that. Oh, there's nothing there. And it's Karl said a bunch of shit without having actual substantiated evidence in order to make the allegation.
$170.
Final Fantasy V, 9.6 Super Famicom. Yeah, hopefully you guys are bidding. Get on there bidding. Make sure you guys are also bidding. A large part of Karl Jobst's credibility is based on him covering stories fully and impartially. His reputation is now ruined. Yeah, it's a tough thing, right? It's a tough thing. A very tough thing. Sounds like a narcissist. Like I said, it's his salsa. Doesn't Billy have hot sauce? I'm pretty sure it's hot sauce, not salsa. Does he also have a salsa? Or are you just mistaking his hot sauce? Billy Mitchell's salsa.
Fair warning.
Ricky's Famous World. Billy Mitchell's hot sauce. Okay, that's what I thought. Billy Mitchell's hot sauce. Yeah. This stream sponsored by like Billy's world famous hot sauce. Need a separate live stream for the Karl case? I mean, hey, this is the deep findings of me taking like 5 hours out of my day yesterday to read and watch everything. So you're getting like 5 hours of ingested Twitter, Reddit, the judge's summary, reading, watching. That's why I think it has to be a case where, man, I still don't know. Because let's say that it was going to go to trial for the cheating stuff, right? The cheating and for the, if it was going to trial for the cheating as well as the suicide defamation, I don't see how his lawyer team would have been like, hey, we should stop. We should not do this, right? This is not good. I don't know, man.
Fair warning.
It seems really, really, really dumb. It seems really dumb that this went to trial for what it is.
$60, $120, $140.
Final Fantasy VI, $262 for the 9.4 NS. Really not bad at all if you're buying the 9.4 NS here for $250. They cost like $150, $200 to get out of Japan anyway, so you're getting a 9.4 authentically sealed or not opened, you know what I mean? No problem with these prices on Super Famicom there. Same with the Final Fantasy V for $325. Not bad whatsoever. First Samurai 9.2B here, only the second time sold at Heritage. There was also the Brandish, was a CIB 9.0 for $225. Bass Masters went for $212, or Bassmaster, sorry. And yeah, these are also coming from the Dan Kaplan collection here.
Fair warning.
A lot of these rare Super Nintendo games are still coming from the Dan Kaplan collection. 9.2B here, pushing to $350. Does that mean Karl isn't collecting anymore? You got to wait for Karl's video to hear stuff specifically about Karl.
Next lot. $5.
You got to wait for
$10.
Karl to upload his video because he's gonna have something, right? Obviously, Karl's gonna put up his side. In his tweet, he says a bunch of people are lying about what the lawsuit was, that he made it clear that the defamation was also part of the lawsuit. It's a mess. It's a mess.
$40.
The overall sentiment from Reddit, Twitter right now regarding Karl and the lawsuit is that people feel deceived because he did his GoFundMe, right? His crowdsourcing. You guys probably remember that. If you, again, keep up with Karl Jobst and stuff, he did his crowdsourcing, his fundraising to raise money for the legal fees, in which he says he's being sued for defamation, I believe. It does not specifically mention the reason for why he's being sued, but he did crowdfund for it. And a lot of people are now feeling deceived because they feel if Karl had put in that crowdfunding here that, hey, I'm being sued for defamation because of these suicide comments, not like people would not have supported a trial on that, right? If people knew more information from the onset, the funding wouldn't have been nearly as strong. Because I think he raised like 200,000 Australian dollars. I donated some money to that crowdfunding for what it's worth, right? I'm telling you guys all this. Like, I donated to that. I was like, oh, fuck yeah. Like, let's get him, right? Let's go get Billy. Fuck this guy.
Fair warning.
So it is certainly interesting to see now how it's ended and what he lost based on. Karl did say what the lawsuit was about. You've been following us and watched all of his videos. Yeah, I think if you did follow and watch every video and pay attention, you might know that, right? For sure. I think the issue is that if you it comes down to that reasonable person thing, Hiko, right? a reasonable person who consumes some of Karl's content likely isn't going to assume that it's about a suicide thing, right? Like, cheater Billy Mitchell keeps losing. It's finally going to trial against Billy. I'm finally going to trial against Billy. More legal action. Cheater Billy is back with a vengeance. Billy Mitchell's expert witness is terrifying. Like, Billy Mitchell lost his lawsuit. This was about cheating as well. Dumbest lie ever. This is about the cheating. Cheater Billy Mitchell is running scared. If you watch these videos, see these videos, anything about this, Billy Mitchell caught faking evidence. Here's that insane rant video, right? Where this is where I saw the suicide thing, but I think a reasonable person watching the content is going to assume that everything is based around the cheating. Right? I think that's the reasonable audience view. Much like how in Karl's video after the allegations of suicide, the reasonable viewer, the reasonable takeaway was that Billy Mitchell was a large cause of that person deciding to commit suicide. That is something that Billy was harassed about. Now, Karl didn't explicitly state Billy did it, right? But again, a reasonable person consuming the information would make that conclusion.
Next lot.
And it seems like that's a big thing here with YouTube or Reddit debate lord style, where it seems like on the internet, you're on the internet and it's like, well, actually, I didn't say exactly that. But then when you get into the real world, people are like, what the fuck are you talking about? You literally, you know what I mean? In not so many words, you said exactly that. And I think that might be where some issue came. What do these guys have to do with the graded video games? Karl Jobst is the guy who put graded video games on the map. That's quite literally the only reason I'm talking about it. If it was a different YouTuber, if it was someone else, I wouldn't care. But
Fair warning.
Karl Jobst and the WADA, the Heritage video, where there were a lot of allegations made, mind you, a lot of allegations put forth without concrete evidence, is why I'm talking about it now today. Sim Ant, CGC 9.2A++. Yeah, Sim Ant always gets a lot of attention. It's actually said to be a great game. It's in the sim category. It's published by Maxis. $500 for it, 9.2A++. It's always had some value as a CIB and a cartridge as well, again, just because I think people genuinely really like this game. Yeah, this is Dan Kaplan as well, as is the Snow White here in Happily Ever After. 8.0B on that. BTO, Pacific Theater Operations, 9.4A++ for $275. NBA Tournament Jam. NBA Jam Tournament Edition. Jesus, 9.0A for $375. Snow White and Happily Ever After for $275. Toy Story, 8.0A++ for $150.
Fair warning.
So is YouTube freedom of speech? You can say anything allege. You can say anything you want at any time, anywhere, Game Gallery, until you actually get a defamation lawsuit. Like, I don't know what people mean when they say freedom of speech. I don't know what you mean when you say freedom of speech. Right? Like, you can say whatever you want. You're not going to go to jail for it. But, like, you can't just sit there and say shit that's not true.
Fair warning.
I can sit here and lie to you guys all day if I wanted, right? I can start talking shit about whoever I wanted. But then if you start getting into the world of a defamation, yeah, freedom of consequences, exactly. You got freedom of speech, you don't have freedom of consequence. I saw other people mention, like, oh, well, what about freedom of speech? Like, what the fuck do you mean freedom of speech? The fuck do you mean? You can't just say that someone made someone else kill themselves. There's levels to this. My gosh, I feel like you always get the freedom of speech guys. And not you, Game Gallery, specifically. I'm not attacking you, but it's something I saw on Twitter a lot, and you see it on Reddit, where people are like, well, what about freedom of speech? It's like, what do you mean? What do you mean? He has freedom of speech. He was free to say whatever the hell he wanted. Karl's not going to jail for it.
$240.
Sword of Mana, VGA 95, 350. There was one N64 game today, Mission Impossible, 9.48 plus for $412. Children of Mana is the 95 on DS for $275. Mega Man Star Force 2, 9.68 plus DS. We're almost at the end of the Nintendo lot here. This is super interesting coming up next. I do want to talk about this a bit. It's a Pokemon Center DS Lite Giratina CIB console. I think it's a console anyway. Again, I wish the picture was a bit more... I wish there was a picture showing it like all opened up. Yeah, here we go. It's like an embossed Giratina on it. It's kind of hard to see in the picture. It's hard for me to even see, but this is Japanese CIB Pokemon Center DS Giratina edition, pushing its way to $800 right here. I don't know enough about these super limited consoles to give you guys like a really good breakdown for it, but coincided with the release of Pokemon Platinum, and of course, only at the Pokemon Center Japan. So, very cool. Have I decided if I'll live stream the Nintendo Direct tomorrow? Isn't it early? I think it's 7 a.m. my time. Oh my gosh, you want me up at 7 a.m.? You want me up at 7 a.m. so we can watch Nintendo Direct together? No, maybe. Well, maybe.
Fair warning.
It sounds similar to the Hulk Hogan lawsuit. I actually don't know enough about that. Which Hulk Hogan lawsuit? Like, in my head, I immediately start thinking about when he was saying the N-word or something. But I don't know enough about Hulk Hogan and what kind of lawsuits he might have been in. But I remember that was a big thing. The Giratina console closed at $875. Group lot of 9 sealed games here. It has the 25th anniversary Mario All-Stars. Can we just take a second to appreciate how the 25th anniversary Super Mario All-Stars never really became valuable? Never really became anything, dare I say? Like, I think the most valuable it was the year right after it released, or months right after it released. It was like 150, 200 US back then, I think. And then it was reprinted, and then the value just never, sure, it's worth like 100, 150, 200 bucks, but who gives a shit? You know what I mean? Zerker X Ninja went for 109, and looks like Jeff Mack, you grabbed it. I don't know the value of the Mega Man Star Force 2 game, so I see $109, and I just kind of assume that's like in the range of what it's worth. But good to hear you got a deal on it, dude. Awesome. Animal Crossing New Horizons 9.88++ for 114. Collection of Mana 9.88++. But yeah, that'll kind of do it. That'll kind of do it for the Karl Jobst story, the Karl Jobst news. So if you're surprised he lost, it's because it was never about Billy Mitchell being a cheater. Karl just flew too close to the sun, fucked up. His own ego got the better of him. We'll find out more details when he releases his video, but from an outsider view, with everything I could consume, Karl did himself zero favors in his conduct, both during, before, and after. And, like I said, right, when you read those judges' opinions and the judge comments, it's like, man, it just reads like the judge was tired of Karl's shit or just didn't like Karl. Which obviously doesn't help, but I think he himself probably could have helped that a bit as well.
Fair warning. Next
But competitive gaming, when you want to attach your name to a world record, when you want your name written in history, you have to pay the price. Fucking Billy Mitchell, hey? Feels like it's been like, how many years have we, how many years has it been of Billy Mitchell now, hey? When did King of Kong come out?
$400.
2007. It's been 18 years of Billy Mitchell. Holy fuck. That's insane, man. I've known Billy as long as I've known my own father. That's crazy. You're telling me Karl's video on Billy isn't pure entertainment. In what way, Hiko? I've watched most of the videos on Billy. I do think it's entertaining. I do. Which again, right? I donated to his fundraiser. I donated to the Karl crowdsource. Because I was like, oh man, I think that Billy is a cheater. I think that he's probably a bad dude. I think he also has a massive fucking ego. Probably a narcissist. And I was like, oh, damn. Like, I hope that Karl can win in court to stop Billy's evil ways, right?
$320.
But then it find out that it was never going to be about the cheating, and it's like,
$400.
you probably should have just fucking stopped the crusade then. Don't stop making videos, but like,
$440.
I don't know. If you screw up something insanely bad about the information you present and you still don't retract, remorse, you know what I mean? At some point here, at some point, you are just... Billy's pride is demonic? Well, fuck Karl's pride, man. This was two guys, like two bulls that just didn't want to back down.
$550.
At some point, what I was going to finish with is you shoot yourself in the foot. And I think that's where it came with Karl, where he just shot himself in the foot with the way it all went on. Narcissist versus narcissist? Yeah, I wasn't going to take it that far, but you... Fletch, I think that was a good example there of me using implied statements, implied truths. Now, I didn't say narcissist versus narcissist, but you were able to pick up on it. That's a dangerous game out there, as I've learned. Maybe I need to be more careful.
Next one.
Nintendo Powered, the 9.4 Star Wars issue for $525. This is frickin' awesome. Awesome cover here. I bid, I think, $150 myself. I lowballed on every single one of these. Even the Roadrunner 9.6 went for $525. Whoof! Nintendo Power Star Fox 9.6 for almost $1,000. I bid $200. I bid $200 on this. Again, I was coming in low. I was lowballing the shit out of these. I never stood a chance. God damn, $968. High grade Nintendo Power is cool. I just like I can't pay $500 to $1,000 for Nintendo Power. I'm like a $100 to $200 kind of guy. You know what I mean? Like this one here for $175, the Super Mario Kart issue, not terrible, but I don't want an 8.5. You know, yucky. Who wants an 8.5? Group lot of 6 magazines here. These are from the Video Game History Foundation. Ultra Game Plus, Game Pro, Next Generation. There's a Nintendo Power in there. Just a bunch of magazine there. Nice little lot. $1,000 for the Star Fox Nintendo Power. You never had a chance. You and me both. You and me both. Not about anger, about clicks and revenue. Nobody's angry for years on end over that stupid shit. That's why all of the videos, right? And the comments while the trial was going on, and uploading more videos while the trial was going on, doing the interview where Karl's saying, I'm not going to be a good winner if I win this case and stuff. I think Karl made himself very unlikable. To his own detriment, right? In how he was vindictive, and I think the judge even said he acted with malice, or there was malice behind the intent of the videos and the court trial.
Fair warning. $140.
It's a tough spot, man. It's a tough spot. Tough spot. Maybe Karl was thrown off guard by the defamation strategy and didn't prepare for it. That's going to have to come from Karl's video. Because I agree. I think... this is my outsider opinion, right? I don't fucking know. But I think Karl's entire defense rested on the point that Billy Mitchell already has a shit reputation. Therefore, his reputation cannot be defamed. Right? As I understand, that was the entire defense put forth by Karl's team. It can't be a defamation because Billy's reputation already fucking sucks. So even if I said this by accident, right? Even if I was wrong about this thing, it doesn't matter. Because everything else I said is already true and his reputation already sucks.
Fair warning.
And it ended up that wasn't the case. Or at least enough evidence, whatever, testimony, whatever, was put forth to prove that that's not the case. Which is a bad argument because you can always do something worse. Pretty much. And I think that's where the real life versus internet disconnect comes in play, where it's like, Okay, but this guy's a cheater in Donkey Kong and Pac-Man. He cheated. He lied about video games. So who cares if I said he killed somebody? And it's like, wait just a darn second here, right? It's like to any normal outside person, any person who spends a day outside of the internet is like, these are not equal. And, you know, I think it kind of goes from there.
Next lot.
But it does seem like the defense was hinged upon that it could not cause more defamation.
20, 30,
Interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff, I'll tell you that.
55, 65.
Yeah, real court's not the same as Reddit court. That's what I mean. It's just, yeah.
Fair warning.
Duke Nukem, Time to Kill, 8.5A plus. The Incredible Hulk on Saturn's very cool. The Pantheon Saga here. Saga. 9.6B plus for $200. I just love the cover. I think it's cool. I would like to own one day, but you know, it's Sega Saturn. Just like, You won 2 PS Long Boxes as your Heritage bidding debut. Let's go, Trevor. Let's go. First time bidding on Heritage, you win A-Train, 9.6A plus, and Descent, 9.6A plus. Long boxes, 144 and 129 respectively. I assume you're shipping international, Trevor? I mean, I think I've made the warning with you here before. Just be careful about international shipping. It can be expensive. 392,000 is wild, though, over that statement. Well, that's the... You get into this world, though, Hiko, where Billy Mitchell is, whether people want to say it or not or whatever, Billy Mitchell is a public figure. He has substantial net worth. He has businesses. He has a public appearance. Like, you're not, you know... I was going to say myself, but I'm way too famous to use an example. But a regular-ass person, obviously it's not going to be $392,000, right? You simply don't have that much money to lose. You're not worth that much. But it's hard to say what Billy's actual net worth is. And,
$45.
do you know what I mean? The judge said something, Fletch, to the, about the court fees. It was like, I see no reason why I shouldn't also have you pay Billy's court fees, but you guys have 7 or 14 days to work something out amongst yourselves if you want. It was essentially like that. So... I don't see why Billy would not have Karl pay the court fees, right? Like, I don't see why... I don't see why Billy would back off on that. But as of right now, it is not concrete that he will be paying the court fees. There's a stipulation in there, if you will. So for right now, at this exact moment, it's Karl's court fees plus about $390,000 in damage. But it's... I would say it's likely he will be paying Billy's. Return Fire was a box only here. Promo box for display only? Where does it say for display only on this? How do I know this is a for display only promo box on Return Fire? And where did it come from? What was it used for?
$220.
I don't think I've ever seen this before, which is why I'm taking a look, but I don't see on it. Is it because it's like full cardboard? Did this never come in a cardboard box, I take it? Does no one care about Return Fire? Is that why it still only goes for $69? $119 for the Rayman CIB 9.0, Oddworld Abe's Exodus 9.8A plus for $175. Man, there's a lot of long box in here, hey? Shell Shock 9.6A for $150. You use forwarding service? Okay, good stuff, Trevor. Good stuff. Just want to make sure. For most people, you'd have to imagine cheating at video games doesn't rank very high on their give a shit list. Exactly. That just is what it is, right, Looney? You go outside the internet, you go into the real world, you tell someone at, I don't even know, you're out for supper, right? And you start talking with someone sitting at the bar and it's like, oh, this dude cheated on games. It's like, what the fuck are you on about? So, I have to agree with you, Looney. You get off the internet, a real person. Sorry, I don't have a better way of using a distinction between like internet people and people not on the internet. You know what I mean? I don't want to say real people, IRL, in the real world, touch grass, but if you get off the internet, it's just not that important that someone cheated at Pac-Man. It's just not.
Fair warning.
It is within the community that Billy and Karl are part of. Yes, it is Higo. And that is, I guess, where the disconnect comes from, where you exit that community and you start getting the opinion of people who are removed from said community, right? Because once you go to trial, you're inviting the world into it. You're inviting a judge who is not a gamer. I think, like, you know, this is a small thing, but I think the judge said that Karl's YouTube video had 1 million downloads, right? That is what you expose yourself to once you start going into the trial route, where you have a judge that calls YouTube views downloads. Does that help your case? I fucking doubt it when video games and stuff is at the main crux of it. Probably doesn't help anything, right? It might all weigh into why he... when the judge says this, like, knight that wanted to slay Billy Mitchell, none of that helps anything.
Fair warning.
But, yeah. South Park to 9.48 plus on PS1 for $275. To anyone who tuned in who does not care about the Billy Mitchell stuff, that's what you got this week, baby. That's what you got this week. You get Billy Mitchell this week. We're back on Thursday for an auction. We're back Tuesday with a normal one. So this week you get Billy fucking Mitchell, okay? You get Billy fucking Mitchell this week. It is what it is. It's big news. Your coworkers wouldn't understand the outrage? No, exactly. Who the fuck is Billy Mitchell?
Fair warning.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people saying who the fuck is Billy Mitchell. The Billy Mitchell Karl Jobst saga comes to a close. You're goddamn right we need to talk about it today. There's nothing we can do. Nothing we can do. There's going to be a day in the future, too. The WADA lawsuit is still ongoing, mind you. The WADA lawsuit is ongoing. I don't think Karl is actually a part of it. Right? I don't think Karl is actually a part of the WADA Games lawsuit. I don't think so. But there will be a day in the future where we will cover the WADA Games lawsuit again, too. As far as I know, that's still ongoing.
Fair warning.
Imagine if Karl is a part of it. I don't think he is. Do we know anything about the WADA lawsuit? Just that it exists. I know it exists.
Fair warning.
I think the last update on it was Theo in the Discord was doing some shit with it. I think the last update was sometime mid to late 2024. So...
Fair warning. Next law.
Hopefully we get an update on the WADA lawsuit at some point here. Some point this year.
$80.
San Andreas 9.6 A+ with UPC stripped down below $300. Hey, you can get a 9.6 A+ first print San Andreas for below $300. The last sale was $350, mind you, last month. This is one of the cheapest San Andreas I think we have seen in a long time here. $287.50. I need to get a copy myself. My eyes will be open on this. My eyes will be open to San Andreas because that's a good entry price there.
$50, $60.
Oh, that is a classic hood banger. That's hood certified, my guy. $287.50 for that? San Andreas, man. 9.6A on the Vice City, $400 there. Group lot of some PlayStation sealed games, $275. Group lot of Persona 3, as well as Persona on PSP. That P3, this sold for nothing, right? If these are both factory sealed, P3 and Persona, $89 for the pair is criminally low. That is going to be a steal. I assume we're going to see Title Dreams in the Discord there. Free Discord, link in the description. I assume we're going to see Title Dreams post that he won this. I'm pretty sure that P3 big box is worth more than that alone. Group lot of 70 ungraded, sealed, and CIB video games. So the majority's factory sealed. You would have to, I don't even know. It's 70. How did this sell for $2,375? $2,375. Black Ops, Mass Effect. I'm just Borderlands is down there, I guess. There's a Pokemon title. Lord of the Rings, Devil May Cry is a first print. A couple Skyward Swords. 3 copies of Skyward Sword. They got them stacked up here. We get a bunch of Skyrim. Is that what someone's gambling on? Is someone gonna gamble that these copies of Skyrim are very valuable?
$110.
What are we
$120.
gambling $2,500 on? Fortnite's in here. That helps. There's a copy of Fortnite. That's big. So that's going to be about, I don't know, $1,000 right there. Okay.
$80.
All right. I mean, that Fortnite, man, that is, I can't believe, was this even in the first photo?
Fair warning.
Oh, it is. It's right there. Okay. It was in the first photo, thankfully. No sticker on it, but fuck, man, $2,500 for those? I don't know, man. It's a Skyrim that's rare, buddy. Yeah, it's Skyrim on 360 gets a lot of love. Skyrim on PS3, I don't think gets nearly as much. Is Karl on my Discord? He was. I think he left today because people started pinging Karl, so I think he's gone now. 2,500 is a good deal still. I don't love it. I don't love it, Trevor, because like I with all those games placed like they are, right? Very haphazardly kind of placed on the, like, those games are not mint, right? Like, oh, here we go. You can just like you're not getting frickin' mint copies of these games, right? So let's say your average condition is like 9.4. It's just like, I don't know. It's a lot of capital to tie up because then you also need grading fees. Maybe the money's here. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm being a hater here, but I just 70 games at 2,500. That Fortnite has to grade well. That Fortnite has to grade well. Karl wasn't named in the Waddle lawsuit? Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I'm just a hater on a $2,500 lot there. Yeah, there's shipping on there too. It's just like, Skyward Sword took a dump after they re-released it. Yeah, dude, it makes no sense. Skyward Sword is so cheap on Wii right now. If you don't own a factory sealed copy of Skyward Sword, first print with the CD with it, like, it's like $100 for a graded copy. Like 9.68 plus is fucking worthless. If you don't own Skyward Sword on Wii, you should probably get one. You should probably just buy one because they are worthless right now. It's crazy. What does a bad Fortnite even sell for? I assume 500 to 1,000. If they didn't grade it, it probably wasn't worth grading the Fortnite. Agreed fully. Agreed fully, right? If they didn't grade the Fortnite, someone on the Heritage team had to have seen that Fortnite and advised that it's not worth getting graded. We should sell it like this, right? Surely. Goob, I've already covered the whole Karl thing. I can't break it down more. It was basically the entirety of the stream from start to finish was Karl Jobst. So the whole stream was basically that. Yeah, watch your allegations there. It's possible that maybe someone from Heritage Auctions could have looked at this lot of games and maybe could have offered some kind of, oh my god, I'm fucked. Like, oh my god, I've made a mistake. Absolutely cooked, E-Man. Absolutely cooked. It'd be funny if Karl's a witness in the Waddle lawsuit. Given Karl's involvement, it would almost make sense that he would be, right? It wouldn't be weird that Karl would be part of the Waddle lawsuit. Like, he's the one who, made it a thing. He's the reason WADA and Heritage Auctions are a scam. It wouldn't be weird that he was in there. Reading Karl's case, his lawyers sucked. Also, Karl was careless. I don't know. I don't know if his lawyers sucked. I genuinely don't know. I don't know. I think it's easy to dismiss it as you had really shitty lawyers. Versus, it's easy to say he had really shitty lawyers versus saying Karl took a really shitty case in general. And I think that might just be that we want to believe that Karl was diligent or responsible in taking this trial to begin with, right? Not to say it is or isn't. I just think the bias is very easy to be like, oh, the lawyers fucked him. When it could very well just be that Karl took a trial he simply shouldn't have because of his own ego or whatever it was, right? His vindictive chase against Billy Mitchell.
Karl.
Elijah Lewis with the $9.99. Karl doesn't have a choice to take the trial, though. I mean, instead of settling Hiko, allowing it to go to trial. I assume at some point throughout the process there was an offer of settlement or a chance, or you know what I mean? Karl said he tried to settle. Where? Amber Heard's legal team sucked. It can happen. Yeah, it can fully happen. It could be, when Karl puts out his video, we could hear like, oh, my lawyer team fumbled the bag and they just fucking gave it away, right? The tactical L, the legal team they blew it. L lawyer. On his Twitter a couple of months ago, but Billy declined to settle. That sucks. Wild turn of events in kangaroo court. That sucks. I would need to hear more about the settlement and stuff. Like I said, I tried to read as much as I could about it, so I'm presenting it as I understand it. Prior to even going to trial, Hiko, I would say that Karl could have simply removed the video in question in its entirety with the false claims, or taken out the point. Yeah, someone who thinks they are never wrong will never settle. Interesting you say that, Fletch, because again, in the actual judge's write-up about Karl, I don't know if I can... It's somewhere on Reddit that I was reading it, but the write-up about Karl says something along the lines of a person who is very hard to dissuade once he's made up his mind about something, very forthright, very of the stance that what he says is true. Like, again, this is written in the judge's summary of it. So you're not wrong, Fletch, in that someone who never thinks they are wrong will never settle. And that vibe or that caricature was put forth as well during the trial, during the whatever, and recognized by the judge. You'd never order pizza with pineapple, but you'd also never refuse a slice. I don't know if that's related to the Karl. I don't know if that's a metaphor right now. But that's great. It's a great sentence. It's a great sentence. You took a stab at the group lot during the auction, but doing the math, you did fine. Tekken 3 Greatest Hits is worth a lot sealed. Which group lot did you win, Jeff Mack? Where are you seeing Tekken Greatest Hits? Which group lot had that in it? Were there multiple group lots in the auction, or was Tekken Greatest Hits in this one? Did I just miss it? Or Tekken 3 Greatest Hits? It must be on the second photo, hey? Oh, the 9 sealed mix of PSP and PS1. I didn't even see that one. Where the heck was that one? $212. What do you get? I assume your copy of Little Big Planet is not going to be the recalled copy, but make sure you check. Make sure you check the Little Big Planet here and see if it's the recalled copy. It has something to do with the UPC. The numbers on the UPC, I think, are how you can tell. That could also be valuable in there. At $212, I mean, you got 9 games. You paid like, what, $20 each for them? $30 each? Like, I think you're fine. I think you're very fine. Cool lot of games. Nothing spectacular in here, but it's a cheap price. Karl said a statement without concrete proof, and Billy fully exploited that. Billy doesn't care about Apollo at all. It didn't give him distress or anything. Billy is a weasel and won the only way he can. Yes. Right? Like, yes, I'm not disputing this whatsoever, right? I agree with you. Hiko. That Billy won the only way he could. There was this statement. Billy had a good lawyer team. Whatever it is, right? Billy was able to make this happen. I think it's one of those things where Karl basically goaded this person who is a legal weasel, whatever word you want to call it, right? Billy is a guy who knows how to exploit legal law. He does it for, he does it for a living. That is not correct. Please, Billy Mitchell, don't watch this. But it's something that he has proven he knows what to do with legal system, right? So Karl basically goaded him into suing him. That was part of, you can see that when he got sued, I'm excited. This is exciting. It's finally happening. He's going to sue me. Oh my God, I'm gonna defeat Billy Mitchell, right? And it's it's a bold fucking strategy. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. It's a bold strategy. And it's super, super shitty that in the end of this, Billy has a better image in the end of this than Karl does. And that is fucking crazy. Right? That's crazy. I never saw this outcome coming. Now, after this trial, and everything said and everything, Billy walks away with better public image than Karl does. What happened? What happened, you know? Can we crowdfund some pizza to get the stream going? Oh, boy. This is like Team Jacob versus the other guy. What, Edward? Come on, hamster. You can just say Edward and Jacob, but we know you like the movies. Yeah, enough time has passed. I think we can say the Twilight films were actually good. Of course I'm going to be here on Thursday. Of course, Sega Showcase on Thursday. Hopefully you guys can come. Of course I'll be here on Thursday. I wouldn't miss that for the world. Wouldn't miss it for the world. No one actually thought they were good ever. No, they kind of sucked. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah, I agree. Yeah, those movies sucked. Yeah, those suck. I could never defend those. Yeah, those are boo Twilight. Bad. He was like a boxer who was too eager to throw and ended up out of position and exploited by a counterpunch. Yes, it's shitty. It's super, super, super shitty. It is. I don't think anyone wants Billy to be the good guy in the end of this. It's just the boxing, the UFC, I like that. You know, it's like you just got fucking caught, man. You just got fucking caught. You thought you had it, you were cocky, and you got caught. I like the fighting analogy a lot, actually, because that's what it reminds me of, you know? Conor McGregor going into a fight against that country guy, the guy who was boring as fuck, but ended up beating him. I can't remember his name now. But you know, it's like, fuck, like you got caught, dude. That sucks. Sucks. Yeah, future president Conor McGregor. Not the Diaz fight, a later one. He fought some boring country guy. Or I think being country was part of his persona. I just can't remember the dude's name now. He didn't have a ton of personality. Gahey? Poirier. Dustin Poirier. Yeah, there it is. Dustin Poirier. Yeah, Dustin Poirier. You know, you come in pre-fight, you have all the fireworks, the spectacle, everything, and you got fucking caught. Why was this lawsuit not in the USA? That I don't know, Gino. I assume it has something to do with, like, legal proceedings and based on Karl being in the Karl made the video in Australia. I assume it just has to do with where Karl exists. Yeah, just like Apollo in Rocky IV. I was actually just about to say, Elijah, that Billy Mitchell had to fly to Australia, like in Rocky IV as well, you know? Going to fight the Russian in Russia. Billy Mitchell had to fly out, man. He had to fly out to Australia. The rumble in the jungle. Hiko! $9.99.
Karl will get Billy at some point. Hopefully, lol.
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. It's one of those things where I think everyone can basically agree that, oh, I gotta watch my words. it's potential that Billy Mitchell maybe isn't a great person based on everything I've consumed about him in various times. But it's also very fucking dangerous, right? Whether you want to admit it, whether you hate him, whether whatever it is, he's very fucking dangerous. And this outcome of the lawsuit and everything here, kind of, it's like an oh fuck, an oh fuck moment. Yeah, he can't keep getting away with it. And it sucks that he's dangerous. It sucks that this is how legal stuff goes. It sucks, but it just... Do I think Karl should apologize to all of his subscribers and refrain from talking about the situation any further? Oh, man. Does Karl owe all of his subscribers an apology? Personally, I think so. I think he does. But I also think that Karl is going to believe that he didn't do anything. I believe Karl will believe that he didn't do anything that wasn't above water, straight up, fair. I said, you know what I mean? I think that is what's going to happen. So I personally do think that an apology is fair. But I don't know. I don't think he will think it is. Just based on how he conducts himself and the way Karl's very deliberate with words, right? I think we can all agree with this. He's very deliberate with words. He is smart with how he presents stuff. Karl isn't dumb in the way he chooses. He uses semantics. He's deliberate with a lot of things. So because I don't think Karl's an idiot, I think he's very deliberate. I also think that Karl will think that he does not need to issue an apology or did anything wrong because in the way he presented everything, in the way he did everything, he will believe that he, you know what I mean, did everything right. Billy is Teflon Don. Yeah, I'm digging a hole for myself here, Simoon. It's tough. That's how I see the apology thing. I think there's enough where it's warranted. I don't know if it'll happen. Will Karl even have subscribers after this? Will he continue to be a YouTuber? Yes. Yes, he will. I don't think this is something that will destroy him at all. Yeah, see, that's what I mean though, right, Adam? The apology will be after a 28-minute video about Smurf Racer. Then you'll get your 2-minute apology. But no, I think Karl will absolutely continue to be a YouTuber. I don't think this is the death of a career. I don't think it's a super terrible thing. I think it is I don't even know what you'd say. It's like a take a step back type of thing. You know what I mean? Take a step back. I absolutely think he should let the Billy Mitchell thing go. I don't think he should publish any more videos about him. I don't think it should be part of his channel. I don't think it should be part of his identity any longer. That I do believe. But no, he'll still be on YouTube. He'll be fine. It's not at least I don't think I don't think this is anything, crazy, super serious. Oh my God, how could you do this, Karl? Right? The biggest thing is going to be, did he crowdfund his legal defense on false interpretations of what the trial was actually about? So, something shitty there. You can say it's like a moral, ew, that's bad. Like, oh no. But, I just don't think it's going to be a thing. I didn't see today's video. I didn't see that anything got pulled. I can't speak to that. It looked like it was an unrelated video based on the thumbnail. Sounds like fraud. Well, that's going to be the court of public opinion, Amelia. The thing with this one, right? Like we talk about Gerard and the charity case. Didn't I defend Gerard's a good guy? You talk about Gerard and the charity case and all that, right? Where it's like, oh, that's actual fraud. I don't think Karl's crowdfunding thing would fall under fraud. It's more like a public opinion fraud versus an actual fraud case, right? Karl Jobst net worth says, according to estimates from Net Worth Spot, his net worth is believed to be around 1.3 million. Interesting. I don't know if there's any merit towards using any kind of net worth estimator, but interesting. Yeah, I did see those tweets. But the video, Rob, like that tweet about a video coming down should be like 18 hours old or something, right? That should be a very old tweet at this point. So, I think there was a video that popped up today, or I don't know. How ironic, Karl's net worth was one Super Mario 64, 9.88++, yeah. Yeah, the money laundering scam of Mario 64, right? I tell you, it's a tough day. It's a tough day to be a Karl. I'll tell you that. It's a tough day to be a Karl. It sucks. It sucks. I think we can all agree we wanted to see Billy take an L. I think we wanted to see Billy take an L. I think most people agree on that, but... Ay. We all learned a very valuable lesson about court proceedings and taking stuff off the internet. Right? I think we all learned a very valuable lesson about defamation today. But on that note, you guys, I'm back on Thursday. Sega Showcase Auction, of course, sponsored by Heritage Auctions. Tonight's stream, sponsored by Heritage Auctions. I appreciate all of you guys coming out. I appreciate the comments, the talk about the Karl case, all that stuff. It's interesting stuff, man. It's interesting stuff. Like I said, I got way too deep into it. I just enjoy this type of shit. But have a good night, everybody. Videogames@ha.com to reach out for consignment. Hopefully you can come in on Thursday, and I will talk to you guys Thursday. Have a good night, everybody.